2 weeks passed on the alien ship. Each day was harder than the last. Jack's body hurt in places he didn't know could hurt. Every morning he woke up thinking he couldn't possibly continue, but somehow he did. The ship, called the Intrepid Dawn, was now far from Earth. Jack learned they were headed to a training moon called Praxis 4. The aliens talked about it with a mix of respect and fear. Sergeant Krath says 3 recruits died there last cycle, Patricia told Jack as they ate their breakfast. The food was bland but gave them the energy they needed. They're trying to scare us, Jack said, though he wasn't sure he believed it. Their group of human recruits was now part of a larger class of 40 aliens from different worlds. Some looked almost human, while others were completely different. Beings made of crystal, creatures with tentacles instead of arms, floating gas clouds contained in special suits. Jack had learned the names of a few. Vex Noor was a 4-armed alien with gray skin who could lift 3 times what Jack could. Krex Valtar looked like a walking diamond and spoke in a voice that sounded like bells. Zilantha was a tall, thin alien who moved so fast she seemed to blur. None of them talked much to the humans. They kept their distance, as if weakness might be catching. Commander Zexatora called the group together in the ship's main hall. His blue skin shimmered under the lights as he paced in front of them. "We will reach Praxis 4 tomorrow," he announced. "This will be your first real test. The gravity is 1.2 times Earth standard. The temperature ranges from very hot during the day to freezing at night. You will complete a survival course in teams of 4. Jack felt his stomach tighten. He looked at Patricia, who gave him a small nod. They had been supporting each other through the hardest times. "Teams will be announced in the morning," Commander Zexatora continued. "Rest well. You will need your strength." That night, Jack couldn't sleep. He walked to the observation deck and stared out at the stars. The vastness of space still amazed him. A month ago, he had been fixing roofs in Omaha. Now he was farther from home than any human had ever been. "Can't sleep, human?" a voice asked. Jack turned to see Sergeant Krath, the red-scaled drill instructor, watching him with all 4 of his eyes. "Just thinking about home," Jack said. "Homesickness is a weakness," Sergeant Krath said. "In battle, such distraction means death. Is that all you think about? Battle and death?" Sergeant Krath made a sound that might have been a laugh. "What else matters? The coalition exists to fight. The strong survive, the weak perish. On Earth we help each other survive," Jack said. "No one is left behind." "A strange concept," Sergeant Krath said. "Perhaps that is why your world has never gone beyond its own moon. Too busy caring for the weak." Before Jack could respond, the sergeant walked away, leaving him alone with the stars. Morning came too quickly. Jack and Patricia found themselves assigned to different teams. Jack was with Vex Noor, the 4-armed alien, and 2 others he didn't know well. The shuttle ride to Praxis 4 was rough. Jack felt the increased gravity as soon as they landed. His body seemed heavier, his movements slower. The heat hit him, necks dry and intense like standing too close to a fire. "Begin the exercise," Commander Zexatora ordered over their communication devices. "Your goal is to reach the extraction point 20 miles north. You have 1 day before the temperature drops below freezing." Jack's team set out across the rocky desert. The landscape was alien. Strange red rocks shaped like fingers pointing to the sky. Plants that looked like black balls with spikes. No sign of water anywhere. Vex Noor took the lead, moving quickly despite the heat and gravity. Jack struggled to keep up. The other 2 team members, a blue-skinned female called Talia and a reptilian being named Draz, stayed between them. "The human slows us down," Draz hissed after 3 hours of walking. "We should leave him." "No," Vex Noor said. "The team finishes, together or not at all." Jack was surprised by Vex Noor's support. He pushed himself harder, ignoring the burning in his lungs and the ache in his legs. By midday, the temperature had climbed even higher. Jack's water supply was half gone, and they had covered less than 10 miles. Sweat poured down his face and back, soaking his uniform. Then Vex Noor collapsed. One moment the 4-armed alien was walking in front, the next he was on the ground, his gray skin turning an alarming shade of white. Heat exhaustion, Talia said, kneeling beside him. His species comes from a cold world. His cooling system has failed. What do we do? Jack asked. Leave him, Draz said immediately. He would do the same to us. Jack remembered Vexnor's words from earlier. No, we finish together or not at all. He weighs 300 pounds, Draz argued. Even in your Earth gravity, you couldn't carry him. Jack didn't respond. Instead, he bent down and with great effort, lifted Vexenor onto his shoulders. The alien was heavy, especially in the increased gravity, but Jack found his balance. What are you doing? Talia asked, her eyes wide. Getting us to the extraction point, Jack said through gritted teeth. All of us. Each step was agony. Jack's legs trembled, his back screamed in protest, but he kept moving, one foot in front of the other. The sun beat down on him, and his water ran out, but still he walked. Draz and Talia watched in silence for a while, then began to help, supporting Vexnor's limbs to distribute the weight. They reached the extraction point as the sun was setting. Commander Zexatora stood waiting, his expression unreadable as he watched Jack lower Vexenor gently to the ground. Medical team, the commander called, and 2 aliens rushed forward to help Vexenor. Jack collapsed to his knees, his body beyond exhaustion. Every muscle felt torn, every joint inflamed. He had never been so tired in his life. Why did you not leave him? Commander Zexatora asked, standing over Jack. Jack looked up, meeting the alien's 4 eyes. That's not how humans operate, he said. We don't leave people behind. For a long moment, Commander Zexatora was silent. Then he nodded once, a gesture Jack had learned meant deep thought among the Arcturians. Rest, the commander finally said. Tomorrow will bring new challenges. That night, as Jack lay in his bunk on the ship, barely able to move from exhaustion, Patricia came to see him. Everyone's talking about what you did, she said, sitting beside him. Carrying Vexenor 3 miles in that heat and gravity. The instructors can't figure out why you did it. Jack managed a small smile. My dad always said stubbornness was the Miller family trait. Patricia laughed. Well, it's making the aliens nervous. They can't understand someone who fights that hard for others instead of themselves. Maybe that's our strength, Jack said softly. Not our muscles or our bones, but what we're willing to do for each other. As he drifted off to sleep, Jack thought he heard the aliens in the hallway talking about the human who carried a teammate instead of saving himself. For the first time since leaving Earth, he felt a small sense of pride. A month passed after the training on Praxis 4. Jack noticed a change in how the aliens treated him. They no longer openly mocked him, and some even nodded in respect when he passed them in the ship's corridors. Vexenor, who had recovered from his heat exhaustion, had become something like a friend. My people do not forget life debts, the 4-armed alien told Jack during a meal. You carried me when you could have left me to die. I will not forget this. Jack shrugged. Anyone would have done the same. No, Vexenor said firmly. They would not. That is why you are different. The training continued to be hard, but Jack found his body adapting. He could run longer, lift more, and react faster than before. He still wasn't as strong as most of the aliens, but the gap was closing. Patricia was doing well too. Her team had finished first in the last 3 exercises. She had a talent for strategy that even Commander Zexatora had commented on. We're proving them wrong, she told Jack as they exercised together in the ship's training room. Humans aren't as weak as they thought. Jack was about to reply when the ship's alarm sounded. Red lights flashed in the corridors as all recruits were ordered to the main hall. Commander Zexatora stood before them, his face more serious than usual. We have received a distress call from a mining platform orbiting Epsilon Eridani, he announced. The coalition requires all available personnel to assist. This includes you recruits. Murmurs spread through the group. This wasn't a training exercise, this was real. You will be divided into teams and assigned to rescue shuttles. The commander continued. Your task is to evacuate any survivors from the mining platform before it falls into the gas giant's atmosphere. Jack found himself assigned to a team with Patricia, Vexenor, Krexvaltar, and 4 other recruits. Their leader was a veteran coalition officer named Lorca, a stocky alien, with gray skin and 6 eyes. "This is not a drill," Lorca told them as they boarded the shuttle. "The platform was hit by an asteroid. It's losing altitude and will be crushed by the planet's pressure in approximately 10 hours. Jack felt his heart racing as the shuttle launched from the intrepid Dawn. Through the viewport, he could see the gas giant Epsilon Eridani, a massive ball of swirling orange and red clouds. Orbiting it was a metal structure that looked tiny against the planet's vastness. "That's the mining platform?" Patricia asked. "Yes," Lorca said. "It harvests exotic gases from the upper atmosphere. Normally 500 workers live there, but most were evacuated when sensors detected the incoming asteroid. We believe 20 crew members remained behind to secure critical systems." The shuttle approached the damaged platform. Jack could see that one entire section had been torn away, leaving jagged metal exposed to space. The remaining structure was slowly but visibly descending toward the planet. "Preparing for docking," the pilot announced. Suddenly, the shuttle rocked violently. Warning lights flashed across the control panel. "Electromagnetic storm?" the pilot shouted. "It wasn't on the sensors." The shuttle spun out of control, alarms blaring. Jack gripped his seat as the vessel tumbled toward the platform. There was a tremendous crash, then darkness. Jack woke to pain and smoke. His head throbbed where it had struck something during the crash. Around him, the others were stirring, groaning in pain. "Status report," Lorca called, her voice weak. "The pilot is dead," Vexnor said from the front of the shuttle. "The vessel is destroyed. We are on the platform but in an unplanned location." Jack helped Patricia to her feet. She had a cut on her forehead but seemed otherwise unhurt. Krexvaltar's crystalline body had several cracks, but he assured everyone he could still function. They climbed out of the wrecked shuttle onto the platform. The air was thin but breathable. The metal floor beneath them vibrated constantly, a reminder that they were slowly falling toward the gas giant. "Communications are down," Lorca said, checking her equipment. "The electromagnetic storm is interfering with all signals. We cannot call for help." "What do we do?" asked one of the other recruits, a reptilian named Sorth. Lorca looked around grimly. "We need to find the platform's emergency beacon and activate it. That's our only hope for rescue." "What about the mining crew?" Jack asked. "The 20 who stayed behind?" "If we find them, we help them," Lorca said. "But our priority is the HFY beacon." They began moving through the damaged platform. Signs of the asteroid impact were everywhere. Collapsed corridors, sparking electrical systems, broken equipment floating in areas where artificial gravity had failed. They found no survivors. In the first section they searched. The second section was completely gone, torn away by the impact. As they entered the third section, the platform lurched suddenly, dropping several meters in altitude. "We're running out of time," Lorca said. "The platform is falling faster than predicted." That's when they heard it. Faint calls for help coming from behind a sealed door. Jack and Vexnor worked together to force it open. Inside were 15 members of the mining crew, trapped when emergency systems had sealed their section. They were mostly aliens Jack didn't recognize, though 2 appeared almost human. "The platform's main power core was damaged in the impact," one of the miners explained. "We've been trying to reach the emergency systems, but this section was cut off." "Where's the emergency beacon?" Lorca asked. The miner pointed to a schematic on the wall. "Other side of the platform, but you'll never reach it now. The outer walkways are exposed to the atmosphere. The winds at this altitude will tear you apart." Jack studied the schematic. The beacon was indeed on the far side of the platform. To reach it, they would have to cross an exposed walkway with no protection from the gas giant's violent storms. "How strong are the winds?" he asked. "At least 300 miles per hour, the miner said, "and filled with particles that can cut through standard environmental suits. It's suicide." Jack looked at Patricia. She seemed to understand what he was thinking. "Earth has hurricanes," she said quietly. "And tornadoes. Humans have survived winds like this." "Not like this," the miner argued. "Not in an atmosphere that's slowly crushing you, on a platform that's falling into a gas giant." The platform shuddered again, dropping another few meters. Warning lights began flashing throughout the room. "We're out of options," Lorca said. "The beacon is our only chance." Jack took a deep breath. "I'll go." The room fell silent. "That's crazy," Krexavalter said, his crystalline body gleaming in the emergency lights. "You'll be killed instantly." "Maybe," Jack admitted, "but I'll have a better chance than any of you. Humans are smaller, more flexible. We can brace against the wind in ways you can't." "I'll go too," Patricia said, stepping forward. "Two have a better chance than one." Jack wanted to argue to tell her to stay safe, but he knew she was right. Together, they might succeed where one alone would fail. As they prepared to attempt the dangerous crossing, Jack caught Commander Zexatora watching him with an unreadable expression in his 4 eyes. "You surprise me, human," the commander said quietly. Jack checked his environmental suit one last time. "I'm just doing what needs to be done." "No," the commander replied. "You are doing what no one else can do. There is a difference." The outer door opened, and the full force of Epsilon Eridani's atmosphere hit them. Jack took Patricia's hand and together they stepped out into the storm. Jack Miller was fixing a roof when the alien ship appeared in the sky above Omaha. He dropped his hammer, nearly falling off the ladder as the massive vessel blocked out the sun. All across the city, people stopped and stared upward. The ship was smooth and silver, shaped like a disc with strange blue lights along its edge. It hovered silently for a few minutes, then slowly descended toward the empty field near the construction site where Jack worked. "You seeing this?" asked Frank, Jack's co-worker. Jack nodded, unable to speak. This wasn't like the movies. There was no panic, no military response, just confused people watching as visitors from another world landed on Earth. By the time Jack made it to the field's edge, a crowd had gathered. Police officers formed a line, keeping people back as a door opened in the ship's side. A ramp extended to the ground. The aliens that walked out were tall, at least 7 feet, with blue skin that shimmered in the sunlight. They had 4 eyes set in faces that looked almost human, but not quite. Their bodies were lean and strong-looking, covered in what appeared to be some kind of uniform. "People of Earth," said one of them, its voice booming across the field without any visible speaker system. "We are representatives of the Galactic Coalition. We come in peace and with an opportunity." Jack listened as the alien explained that they were part of a group of 17 different species who worked together to keep peace in the galaxy. They needed new recruits for their military forces, and they had chosen Earth as their newest member world. "Each member planet must provide qualified individuals to serve," the alien continued. "We will select those we deem suitable." Nobody in the crowd moved. The alien pointed a device at the gathered humans and it emitted a soft blue light that swept over them. "You," the alien said, pointing directly at Jack. "Step forward." Jack froze. "Me?" "Yes. You have been selected for evaluation. Step forward." Jack looked around, hoping someone would object or that the police would intervene. But everyone just stared at him. Slowly, he stepped past the police line. 9 other people were called forward from the crowd. A woman about Jack's age stood next to him, looking just as confused and scared as he felt. "I'm Patricia," she whispered. "Patricia Mendez." "Jack Miller," he replied. "Any idea what's happening?" She shook her head. "None at all." The blue-skinned alien approached them. Up close, Jack could see that its skin wasn't just blue. It had patterns that shifted and changed like slow-moving clouds. "I am Commander Zexatora of the Arcturian Fleet," the alien said. "You 10 have been selected based on initial scans that suggest you might be suitable for the interspecies military exchange program." "Might be?" Patricia asked. "Further testing is required. You will come with us to our vessel for evaluation." Jack felt his heart racing. "Wait, we can't just leave. I have a job, an apartment, a life here. I can't just go to space." "Commander," Zextora tilted his head, "your world leaders have already agreed to this arrangement. 10 humans will be selected for the program. If you refuse, another will take your place." A smaller alien stepped forward, holding a tablet-like device. "Commander, our scans indicate this one has no offspring, no mate, and few social connections. His absence will cause minimal disruption." Jack felt his face grow hot. He wanted to argue, to say that his life mattered, that people would miss him. But he knew the alien was mostly right. His parents had died years ago. He had friends, but no one close. His last girlfriend had left 6 months ago. "You have 1 hour to gather personal belongings," Commander Zexatora said. "A transport will bring you back here." Jack's legs moved without his brain fully agreeing. He went home, packed a bag with clothes and a few photos, and wrote a quick note to his landlord. Before he knew it, he was back at the field, standing with Patricia and 8 others. "This can't be legal," a man named Steve kept saying. "They can't just take us." But no one came to stop the aliens. No military, no government officials. Just local police keeping the crowd back. The inside of the alien ship was cold and smelled like metal and something sweet that Jack couldn't identify. They were led to small rooms with beds that were too long for human bodies. "Rest," said a new alien. This one with green skin and only 2 eyes. "Tomorrow your evaluation begins." Jack didn't sleep that night. He lay on the strange bed, feeling the gentle vibration as the ship lifted off Earth. Through a small window, he watched his home planet grow smaller until it was just a blue dot in the blackness of space. The next morning, Jack and the other humans were brought to a large room filled with alien technology. Commander Zexatora stood with several other aliens, all wearing similar uniforms but with different skin colors and body shapes. "These are the humans?" asked a tall, thin alien with red scales covering its body. "They look so soft." "Indeed, Sergeant Krath," Commander Zexatora replied. "Their planet has only 1G gravity. Their bones and muscles reflect this weakness." Jack felt a flash of anger. He wasn't weak. He worked construction, carried heavy materials all day, but looking at the aliens with their powerful builds, he understood why they might see humans as less. The evaluation was brutal. Physical tests that pushed Jack beyond anything he'd done before, running in higher gravity than Earth's. Lifting, weights that seemed reasonable until the artificial gravity increased. Reaction tests against machines that moved faster than human eyes could follow. By the end of the day, Jack collapsed onto the floor, his muscles burning. "The human requires rest," noted a small purple alien with 6 arms. "Their endurance is pitiful." "Please," Jack gasped. "I need water. 5 minutes to recover." The aliens looked at each other, then burst into sounds that Jack realized were laughter. "Did you hear?" Sergeant Krath said to the others. "The human begs for mercy after basic testing. How will they survive real combat?" Commander Zexatora made a gesture, and a door opened. Another alien entered, carrying bottles of water. "Drink," the commander said. "Tomorrow will be more difficult." That night, Jack found Patricia in a common area. She looked as exhausted as he felt. "They think we're a joke," she said quietly. Jack nodded, rubbing his sore muscles. "They picked the wrong people. I'm not a soldier, I'm just a construction worker from Nebraska." "I'm a high school science teacher," Patricia replied. "But we're here now. Whatever happens, at least we're not alone." Through the viewport, Jack could see stars unlike any visible from Earth. He was farther from home than any human had ever been. And tomorrow the aliens would push him even harder. "We'll show them," Jack said, not entirely believing his own words. Humans are stronger than they think. The wind hit Jack like a physical blow as he stepped onto the exposed walkway. He immediately dropped to his hands and knees, pressing his body against the metal grating. Beside him, Patricia did the same. The roar of the gas giant's atmosphere was deafening even through their helmets. "We need to stay low," Jack shouted over the comm system. "Move slowly." The walkway stretched ahead of them for nearly 200 yards, a thin metal path with only a single railing. Below them, the orange and red clouds of Epsilon Eridani swirled like an angry sea. The mining platform continued its slow descent toward crushing pressure. Jack started forward, crawling on his stomach. Each movement had to be careful and deliberate. The wind pushed against him constantly, trying to tear him from the walkway and send him tumbling into the gas giant's depths. Behind him, Patricia followed his example. They had tied themselves together with a length of cable from their emergency kits, so if one of them slipped, the other might be able to help. 20 yards, Jack called back. We're doing good. As if in response, the platform shuddered violently. The walkway swayed, and Jack had to grab the grating with both hands to avoid being thrown off. A piece of debris, some part of the damaged platform, flew past them, missing Jack's helmet by inches. That was close, Patricia said, her voice tight with fear. They continued forward. 50 yards, 75. The wind seemed to grow stronger with each passing minute. Jack's arms ached from the effort of holding on. At the halfway point, disaster struck. The platform lurched again, and this time a large section of the walkway's railing tore free. It whipped through the air like a metal snake, striking Patricia's right arm. Her scream came through the comm system, sharp with pain. "My arm," she gasped. "I think it's broken." Jack turned to see her clutching her arm, her face pale inside her helmet. The broken bone wasn't visible through her suit, but her arm hung at an unnatural angle. "Can you move?" he asked. Patricia nodded, though her face was twisted with pain. "I can. We have to keep going." Jack wanted to go back, to get her to safety, but he knew they couldn't. The platform was failing faster now. If they turned back, everyone would die. "Stay close to me," he said. "Use your good arm to hold on. I'll help where I can." They continued their slow progress across the walkway. The pain was making Patricia slow, but she kept moving, her determination clear in every labored breath Jack could hear through the comm. 3/4 of the way across, another danger appeared. The electromagnetic storm that had crashed their shuttle now manifested as strange blue lightning dancing across the clouds below. One bolt struck the walkway 30 yards ahead of them, leaving a black scorch mark on the metal. "We need to move. Faster," Jack said. "That lightning hits the walkway and we're done." They increased their pace, still crawling but with more urgency now. Jack's muscles screamed in protest. The constant fight against the wind was exhausting him faster than any training exercise ever had. Patricia was falling behind. Her broken arm made it nearly impossible to keep up. Jack waited for her, helping her forward when he could. "Jack," she said, her voice weak. "If I don't make it, don't," he interrupted. "We're both making it. Just a little further." Lightning struck again, closer this time. The walkway vibrated with the impact. Jack could feel the heat through his suit. With a final push, they reached the end of the walkway and tumbled through a door into the relative safety of the platform's far section. Jack quickly sealed the door behind them, shutting out the howling wind. They were in a small control room. Emergency lights cast a red glow over banks of equipment. In the center stood a large device that Jack recognized from the schematics as the emergency beacon. "We made it," Patricia said, leaning against a wall. Her face was gray with pain and exhaustion. Jack helped her sit down, then turned to the beacon. His heart sank as he examined it. "The power's dead," he said. "The main systems must have failed." When the platform was hit, Patricia looked around the room. "There must be a backup power source, something we can use." Jack checked the equipment, searching for anything that might help. There were no backup batteries, no secondary power systems. "Nothing," he said. "It's all connected to the main power core, which is gone." They sat in silence for a moment, the reality of their situation sinking in. They had made it across the deadly walkway only to find their goal unreachable. Without the beacon, no rescue would come. The platform shuddered again, dropping several more meters toward the crushing depths of the gas giant. Time was running out. Jack looked down at his environmental suit. Each suit had a small nuclear battery that powered its life support systems. It was designed to last for days in hostile environments. "I have an idea," he said slowly. "But it's risky." Patricia watched as he began examining the connection ports on the beacon. "What are you thinking?" "The beacon doesn't need much power to send a signal," Jack explained. "Just enough for one strong burst. My suit's nuclear battery might be enough." Understanding dawned on Patricia's face, followed by horror. But without your suit's power... Yeah, Jack said. No life support, no heat, no air recycling. You'll die, Patricia said flatly. Jack continued working, disconnecting wires from the beacons. Power intake. Maybe not. If the rescue comes quickly, if they find us fast enough. That's a big if, Patricia argued. Jack, you can't do this. He turned to look at her. You have a better idea? Because we're out of options. The platform will reach crush. Depth in what, 2 hours, 3? Everyone dies if we don't get this beacon working. Patricia was silent. They both knew he was right. Jack finished his preparations, creating a makeshift connection between his suit's power system and the beacon. All that remained was to disconnect his suit's battery and hook it up. Once I do this, he said, my suit's emergency oxygen will last maybe 30 minutes. After that, I understand, Patricia said. Her good hand reached out to touch his arm. Let me do it. My arm's already broken. I'm not much use anyway. Jack shook his head. No, this was my idea. Besides, you need to communicate with any rescue ships that respond. Tell them about the miners, about our team. Before she could argue further, Jack reached for his helmet seals. Tell them... He hesitated. Tell them that this human begs for their mercy. Not for himself, but for Earth. We deserve a real place. In the coalition. He removed his helmet. The air in the control room was thin but breathable. Working quickly, Jack disconnected his suit's nuclear battery and connected it to the beacon. The device hummed to life, its display lighting up. It's working, Patricia said, hope in her voice. Jack entered the emergency codes they had memorized during training. The beacon began transmitting, sending its signal out into space. A call for help that would hopefully bring rescue. Now all they could do was wait. Jack sat down beside Patricia, already feeling colder without his suit's heating system. The air felt stale in his lungs. How long? Patricia asked quietly. Until rescue? If anyone's close by, maybe an hour. If not, he shrugged. No. How long until your oxygen runs out? Jack checked his suit's emergency systems. 28 minutes, give or take. Patricia's eyes filled with tears. You idiot. You brave, stupid idiot. Jack managed to smile. Just doing what humans do. We look out for each other. The platform trembled beneath them as they waited, hoping their signal would bring help before time ran out, both for the platform and for Jack. Time passed slowly as Jack and Patricia waited in the small control room. The mining platform continued its descent toward the crushing depths of Epsilon Eridani. Every few minutes, the structure would shudder and drop a little faster. Jack's breathing grew more labored. Without his suit's life support, the thin air was barely enough to keep him conscious. His skin had turned pale, and his lips had a bluish tint. Jack, Patricia said, her voice breaking. You need to try to conserve oxygen. Don't talk unless you have to. He nodded weakly. The cold was getting to him now, too. Without the suit's heating system, the temperature around him was dropping rapidly. Patricia checked her suit's clock. 20 minutes since we activated the beacon. Any rescue ship would have to be close by to reach us in time. Jack closed his eyes, focusing on taking shallow breaths. Each minute that passed made rescue less likely. The emergency oxygen in his disconnected suit was almost gone. Wait, Patricia said suddenly. I hear something. Jack listened. At first he heard nothing but the creaking of the failing platform and the muffled roar of the gas giant's atmosphere. Then he caught it. A faint metallic thumping coming from somewhere nearby. Could be rescue, Jack whispered, his voice thin. Or just the platform breaking apart. Patricia stood and moved toward the sound, her broken arm held tight against her body. It's coming from that wall. There might be another compartment beyond it. She found a small access panel and pulled it open. Behind it was a narrow passageway barely large enough for a human to fit through. It's a maintenance crawl space, she said. Maybe it leads to another section where there's more air or a working comm system. Jack tried to stand, but his legs gave out beneath him. You go, he said. I'll stay with the beacon. Patricia hesitated, torn between exploring the crawl space and staying with Jack. I can't leave you. If there's help through there, we both die if no one checks, Jack reasoned. Go. I'll be okay. With a last worried look at Jack, Patricia squeezed into the crawl space and disappeared. Jack leaned back against the wall, fighting to stay awake. The cold and lack of oxygen were making it hard to think clearly. He must have passed out because the next thing he knew, Patricia was shaking him, awake. Her face was excited. Jack, there's an emergency shelter through the crawl space. It has oxygen tanks and supplies. It must be for the maintenance workers when they service this section. Come on, you have to get there. Jack tried to focus on her words. Can't walk, he mumbled. Then I'll drag you, Patricia said fiercely. With her good arm, she grabbed the front of his suit and began pulling him toward the crawl space. Despite her broken arm and the pain it must have caused her, she refused to give up. Getting through the narrow passage was difficult. Jack was barely conscious, and Patricia had only one working arm. But somehow they managed. On the other side was a small room with emergency supplies bolted to the walls. Patricia immediately grabbed an oxygen mask and placed it over Jack's face. The rush of fresh air brought him back to awareness. Breathe, Patricia instructed. Deep breaths. As the oxygen cleared his mind, Jack looked around the shelter. It wasn't much, just a small emergency station for workers trapped during maintenance operations, but it might keep them alive a little longer. The beacon, Jack said, suddenly remembering. Is it still transmitting? Yes, Patricia assured him. I checked before bringing you here. The signal is still going out. Jack nodded, relieved. They still had a chance. Hours passed. The oxygen tanks would keep them alive for a while, but the platform's descent was accelerating. Soon they would reach depths where not even the strongest hull could withstand the pressure. Any word from the others? Jack asked. Patricia shook her head. No way to communicate with them from here. All we can do is hope the beacon brings help. In time. Just as she finished speaking, they felt a new vibration through the floor, different from the shuddering of the failing platform. This was rhythmic, controlled. That feels like docking clamps, Patricia said, hope lighting her face. Someone's here. They listened intently as the vibrations continued. Then came a new sound, a hissing of air and the metallic clunk of a sealed door opening somewhere nearby. In here, Patricia shouted, banging on the shelter's wall with her good hand. We're in here. Minutes later, the access panel to their shelter slid open. Standing there was Commander Zexatora, his blue skin shimmering under the emergency lights. The humans survived, he said, his voice showing rare emotion. The rescue teams are evacuating the miners and your team now. We received your beacon signal 3 hours ago. Jack felt relief wash over him. 3 hours? How are we still alive? The platform should have been crushed by now. Your beacon signal was received by 3 coalition ships that were conducting exercises nearby, the commander explained. We arrived less than an hour after your transmission began. Tractor beams have been holding the platform at its current altitude while evacuation proceeds. Patricia helped Jack to his feet. The others? Are they safe? All accounted for, Commander Zexatora confirmed. Now come, we must leave quickly. The platform's structural integrity is failing faster than our tractor beams can compensate. They made their way through a series of emergency corridors to a coalition rescue shuttle. Inside, Jack saw Vexnor, Krexvelter, and the rest of their team, along with the miners they had found. As the shuttle detached from the platform and moved away, they watched through the viewport as the massive structure finally gave way, collapsing in on itself as it plunged into the deeper atmosphere of Epsilon Eridani. 3 days later, Jack woke in the medical bay of the Coalition flagship Celestial Arbiter. His body was still recovering from oxygen deprivation and exposure, but the doctor said he would make a full recovery. Commander Zexatora stood at attention beside his bed, his posture formal. Recruit Miller, the commander said. The High Council has reviewed the incident on Epsilon Eridani. Your actions have revised our understanding of human capabilities. Jack tried to sit up, wincing at his sore muscles. Sir, you begged for mercy, Zexatora continued. Not for yourself, but for your entire species. It is a concept unfamiliar to many coalition races. The commander's posture shifted slightly, becoming less rigid. The Council has decided to establish a permanent human division within our forces with specialized training protocols that leverage your species' unique qualities. Jack blinked in surprise. Our unique qualities? You mean our weakness? No, Zextora said firmly. Your strength, the willingness to sacrifice for others, the refusal to leave anyone behind, the ability to think beyond self-preservation. These are traits the Coalition has been lacking. As the commander left, Patricia entered the medical bay, her arm in a cast but otherwise looking well. Did you hear? She asked excitedly. They're sending recruitment ships back to Earth. They want more humans in the Coalition forces. Jack smiled. I guess we showed them humans aren't so weak after all. It wasn't about physical strength, Patricia said, sitting on the edge of his bed. It was about what we were willing to do for each other. That's the real human strength. Outside the viewport, stars stretched into infinity. Somewhere out there was Earth. No longer just a primitive world on the fringes of Coalition space, but home to a species that had proven its worth in the most unexpected way. Jack looked at those distant stars and felt something he hadn't experienced since being taken from Earth: hope for the future and pride in being human.